Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I live another day today to continue this effort in sharing knowledge on environmental management and sciences, which I acquired throughout my 36 years in this discipline. I learned from a lot of people. I can't thank them enough, especially the Department of Environment. I was there for 15 years. My last post was a projection officer and also a pioneer trainer for what is supposed to be EMAS today. So anyway, I thank you for your attention. I'm glad that I'm able to make it again this time. For this video, we are discussing pulp and paper industries emission standard. So we are still in the middle of Environmental Quality Clean Air Regulations 2014 as one of the main subsidiary regulations of the Malaysian Environmental Quality Act 1974. So here we are again, and I am honored to be here with you and your attention. For those who have subscribed, I pray to God all the blessings in all your undertakings, especially in the field of environmental management and sciences. And for those who have not subscribed, please do not hesitate. Your support means a lot to me, your recognition to my work, and I hope this would spur more effort from you on your own accord using these videos to train your own people and share with your colleagues so that Malaysians are having a higher level of understanding in the environmental law, therefore minimizing, if not eliminate, any, I would say, legal liability thereof. All right, so let us continue. Okay, let's go into, I have to repeat again this particular slide because I believe some of you have popped into this video literally and not understanding why we are subscribing to third schedule. Never mind that. Now, as I have said repeatedly in previous videos on third schedule, we enter the Environmental Quality Clean Air Regulations by first of all identifying where we belong. Not up where we belong, that will be later. Where we belong, in other words, how do we subscribe to this regulation? How do we read this regulation? Which schedule should we read first? Now, as we enter this law, the trick is to read regulation 13 first. Okay, got it? And in regulation 13, the first few sentences stipulated that all activities listed in the first schedule, all activities listed in the first schedule shall subscribe to emissions standard of the third schedule, okay, and second schedule as the case may be. I didn't memorize it, but repeated reading of the law has put in some folders in my memory of that. So, in other words, if we want to know whether a company, this is good for consultants, good for competent persons, good for auditors. First of all, you got to check the nature of that industry, the types of processes, the raw materials, and most importantly, the production capacity or the throughput. Okay. Now, then what we do is check with the law, which is the first schedule. What I display before you right now is the first schedule from number 1 up to 11. Actually, in the law, this is number 1 is A, B, C, D, E, and so on. Now, once we identify that those activities of our interest is listed here in the first schedule, it means that their emission standard shall comply to or is subscribing to the third schedule of the same regulation. Got it? Now, we are going to discuss this one. Pulp and paper industry, and according to the law, including paper recycling industry of all sizes, big or small. Okay, got it? Now let us go into that particular side of concern. Now this is the interpretation of Regulation 13, whereby, as I said earlier, industries in the first schedule shall be referring to emission standard stipulated in the third schedule. You got it? That is why we are here looking into the third schedule for this particular industry called pulp and paper, because they are subscribing to the first schedule. All right, can we go on? Simple as that. Now, this is the tabulated display or representation what is written in the law. Now, first of all, we have got the different types of furnaces on this side. Okay, sorry, not different types of furnaces, different types of paper processing equipments. All right, we got recovery furnace, lime kiln, sulfite mills, craft, and others. All right, now, and on this side, what we have is an array of environmental parameters. Okay, for this industry, the law stipulated that the parameters, environmental parameters of control is hydrogen sulfide. Please watch out the units that is used, milligram per cubic meter, and then nitrogen dioxide in kilogram per ton of ADP. ADP is air dried pulp. This is right from the trees. Air dried pulp, which is the pulp which has been dried before going into processes. And the third parameter is PM. This is not Prime Minister, but particulate matter. Okay, again, milligram per cubic meter, and then total sulfur. That will be the fourth parameter in kilogram per ton of air dried pulp. So for every ton of air dried pulp processed, only certain kilogram of sulfur is allowed to be emitted from two of the mills. Okay, now let's go one by one. Let us get into this one first. Recovery furnace. Okay, now according to the law, hydrogen sulfide from recovery furnaces is not regulated. But what is regulated? Nitrogen dioxide and particulate matter. What does it mean? Only two parameters. Now I have a question about a few days ago asking me whether if they have the old kebenaran bertulis or old kelulusan bertulis of the furnace, do they have to comply to the old terms and conditions of the written approval? Look, please refer to Regulation 30, as I have mentioned earlier. When this law comes into force in June 6th, June 6th, 2014, and you are an existing factory, those terms and conditions of the old approval will only last for 5 years grace period, okay, until 2019, whereby this particular law comes into action. No longer subscribing to those terms and conditions of the old, they call it kelulusan bertulis, or written approval. Therefore, probably you have got an array of parameters more than this one in the old approval is no longer applicable according to the law. I'm not talking on behalf of the authority, specifically the DOE. They may look at it from another perspective due to some needs of the ambience of that region or locality, or current issues occurring in that area that I do not know. They may have, and they may have a reason for asking industries to still use the old parameters. I'm not talking about them. They have the rights under the law to do that. But for me here today, sharing with you, when this law comes into force, look, for recovery furnace, only 2 parameters are regulated, which is nitrogen dioxide and particulate matter. And for nitrogen dioxide, for recovery furnace, the nitrogen dioxide shall not, actually must be less than 2 kilograms for every air-dried pulp, for every ton of air-dried pulp processed. So you got to have a throughput value, okay, and you got to calculate probably, but maybe you have got some other ways of understanding the emissions in kilogram per ton of ADP. And the particulate matter shall be less than 150 milligram per cubic meter all the time. So there is only 2 parameters. There are only 2 parameters, unlike probably the old kelulusan bertulis or written approval. They may have listed and a few other types of parameters, maybe SOx, NOx, total particulate matter, etc. All right, maybe heavy metals, whatever. Okay, sulfate, nitrates, etc. Now, when this law comes into force in full, meaning after 2019 June, the old KBs, they call it, or kelulusan bertulis for that particular furnace or even chimney, is abolished, is obsolete, and is being taken over by this particular regulation, unless otherwise in black and white stipulated by the authority. Got it? Now let's go into lime kilns here. Only 2 parameters as well, which is hydrogen sulfide and nitrogen dioxide. And if you look, I have indicated the figures, the numerics, the limits in blue font. If you remember, I have described to you in earlier videos, if you see the limits in blue fonts, it simply means that there is no need for continuous emission monitoring under the law, unless otherwise required by the authority. According to the law, this is only requiring periodic sampling under Regulation 16 of this particular regulation, which require, when you look at it, Regulation 16, please flick it up, you will see the requirement is only 1 time per year. Got it? Now let's take a look at sulfite mills. Don't ask me what sulfite mill is in detail. I'm not the expert in this industry. You got to ask your colleagues who are from pulp and paper. Look, what is this? 1.5 is the limit for what parameter? Total sulfur. Only one parameter for sulfite mills. And for Kraft and others, what parameter? Sulfur. Total sulfur. It could be in the form of sulfur dioxide or sulfur trioxide. Total sulfur. You ask the chemist how that is being calculated, but the law says shall be less than 1.0 kilogram for every ton of air dried pulp being processed. So that is the understanding from this law, and I believe there is no need for continuous emissions monitoring here, and there's only the need for periodic sampling based, because this law doesn't say how often or the frequency of monitoring. Then when there is this particular regulation is quiet, this third schedule is quiet, then so regulation 16 shall apply, which stipulate that they have to do at least once per year sampling and analysis and reporting to the DOE of all these parameters. Got it? I hope I am clear. Yeah, that is about all that I could say for this particular slide. If I do miss anything, I'm so sorry. This old man can't remember everything under the sky, but at least I have mentioned to you important things, which is the frequency of monitoring, and please be careful with the units. All right, please be careful with the units. Some in milligram per meter cube, some in kilogram per ton. Okay, please watch out those units. Address it properly and accurately. So I believe that's about it for pulp and paper. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your subscription. If you have not subscribed to this particular channel of mine, Khalid M.A, please do so. Please be kind enough to do so. And this knowledge is all yours. I don't reserve any copyright. All right. So thank you for your attention. I believe that is about it for this particular video. For other inquiry, please liaise with the authority. All right, and hopefully you come up with some good resolution. Okay, I end this video with Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a good day and take care. Stay safe, and please let us pray that we finally find vaccine towards this against this COVID-19 virus. All right, take care. Bye bye.